Panic a little.
Right, we're on the record in docket 22-00287. That's People of the State of Michigan versus Andrew Stewart. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record?
Jake Westy on behalf of the people.
Thank you, Your Honor, and good morning. Jared Austin appearing on behalf of and in the absence of Andrew Stewart.
This is the time set for preliminary examination. Actually, it's a continuation, if I remember correctly. We had one witness testify, that was an officer, and then we adjourned it for today, I believe, to get more testimony. Is that correct?
Your Honor, I believe we had everybody testify except the officer. I
Okay,
wasn't
that's
here to
true.
testify for half.
We had Charlita Beard testify.
Okay. So were we waiting for Officer Byers?
Yeah, that man was on vacation
Okay,
and he let us know at 4 p.m. the day before.
all right. So this is the time set for prelim. Just from preliminary conversations, my understanding is Mr. Stewart is not here. So Mr. Wisty, how are we proceeding? And then I'll hear from you, Mr. Austin.
Your Honor, we'd like this court date reset. Obviously, we cannot have it without the defendant. I would also request a show cause be issued for him to provide proof that he is in the hospital. I think there's a history here of him going to the hospital to avoid these sort of things. I think a show cause is appropriate, and if he is in the hospital, it certainly should be easy for him to provide documentation.
I think we've had some verification issues in the past in this file where and in that instance, if I remember correctly, Mr. Stewart indicated that he had to be at a certain place and he had misread the documentation for the date. So yeah, I understand the people's request from the defense.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. We would certainly ask that the matter be reset. I did speak with Mr. Stewart. I've been in communication with him. I spoke to him as late as a little after 4 o'clock, I think yesterday. Got here this morning. I learned that he was in hospital. I know I received numerous voice messages from Mr. Stewart. I did have a conversation with Mr. Stewart saying that he'd been called in for his procedure today at the University of Michigan Hospital in Ann Arbor. I had previously spoken with someone last month when Mr. Stewart thought his procedure date was going to conflict with one of his original court dates here in September. And they did confirm to me that he did have a procedure scheduled, but it was not on the September date. It was sometime in October. That very well could be today, and the reason why he is not here. So given that, Your Honor, I don't know that a show cause is necessary, but I would ask that the matter be reset. But if Mr. Stewart is in the hospital, like I believe that he is, I think that should certainly be able to be easily verified.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll reset it for the continuation of the prelim. And I'll need a new date. How far out do you think we need to go, Mr. Pfeiffer? I know Mr. Wisty, it's Mr. Wisty's standing in, but it's Mr. Pfeiffer's case.
We needed at least 7 days to be able to get the subpoena out to the
All right.
officer to ensure that it's here.
And you don't know the status of your client.
That is correct, Your Honor. And it sounded like it was not just some routine checkup, but some type of major medical procedure, which may require an extensive amount of recuperation. So I would be very hesitant to reset it within the next week or two.
Right.
I would probably ask for probably at least a month out.
Let's see. We started the prelim, so we don't have a
Correct,
type of 21 day. So let's do 30 days.
I could also call the hospital. I'd be more than happy to step out into the hallway and call the hospital and see if he's there.
But let's set it first. And then Mr. Pfeiffer, if you want to confirm.
Yeah.
If it's a procedure you talked about, like it's open heart surgery, I can either do the day before Thanksgiving, which is kind of a crazy day for the docket, or I can do December 1st.
Let's do December 1st. I think everybody would agree on December 1st.
Okay,
on that
I
one.
just wanted to run it by everybody. December 1st at 8:30, please.
At 8:30. And what we're going to do with the show cause is we're going to show cause the defendant for December 1st. So he'll come in and he can confirm of his presence on October 27th. I think is fair. We need some type of medical verification just because this has been an issue in the past. And Mr. Pfeiffer, if you want to step out and confirm.
I'll call them, and if the hospital says that Andrew Stewart is located there, we can call up the show cause.
Okay.
The hospital's verifying it. I don't think they're going to lie on his behalf.
No, they may not give you. I just don't wonder if they will give you the information.
Thank you.
So, all right, so it's reset for December 1st, 2027 at 8/2027. How about that? 2022 at 8:30. We'll show cause the defendant for verification on U of M procedure. And then we'll update that as we go. Anything else for the record, docket 22-00287, Mr. Wisty?
No, Your Honor.
Anything, Mr. Austin?
Nothing further on back, Mr. Stewart, Your Honor.
All
Thank you.
right, thank you.
Just a second. I think it's one thing that wants to be done.
Let's go ahead and put that to the side.
Yeah. So I didn't talk to you until. Well, I'd scheduled.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna
I
know.
scheduled probably come with
Computer
him
wants to be-
for yesterday, and
It's
apparently.
giving me a
gone.
damage.
So so.
And we should be ready to go.
Oh.
Knickerbocker and.
So I just asked, is my guy on Zoom? He's-
Knickerbocker's here.
I have to go get called.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Wisty, are you ready to go, Mr. Knickerbocker?
Yes, Your Honor.
And then Ms. Housefield, you're here on.
We're on Long,
Long,
Your Honor. at
Connor Long?
8:30. That's correct. And then Mr. Grady at 9. And I just wanted to clarify, if I may, Your Honor, I received a message from Mr. Zaney this morning, who represents Mr. Grady. Apparently there was some confusion about party's appearance today because there was an issue with the writ. So we were unable to writ him for today. He's in federal custody. We have secured a writ for next week's prelim. Originally, we had planned just to leave the matter on and essentially treat next week as a PCC, not calling witnesses. But I think Mr. Zaney wanted to confirm his appearance requirement this morning.
this
And so
morning.
He.
If you're just leaving it, on, I don't need for him, you can do that without putting it on the record.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm good with that.
I saw Ms. Holden nodding her head. I think I have all the details correct. Okay, so I will advise Mr. Zaney, we're not needed and we're leaving it on for next week's date and time
Perfect.
without witnesses to be treated as essentially a PCC.
That's fine. As long as Mr. Zaney knows that his client's probably gonna be looking at waiving his 21 days next week.
Yes, that was the plan for today.
Okay.
And then when we couldn't get him written over,
Right,
we'll plan that for next week.
sounds good.
Yes, ma'am.
Just keeping in mind to remind me next week, I was talking to Ms. Yoder in a separate email and DOJ is kind of requesting a little bit more time frame than the wiggle room I gave them. this
Good.
time.
Okay,
He's there.
Ms. Yoder is wonderful to work with the social service. It's not her,
Their
it's
process.
justice in the process. And then LPD has to jump through.
okay. And we'll just want to set it down, is what I'm
Yes.
hearing.
Give me Mr. Stewart back. We'll put that on the record.
Okay. I'm gonna, pardon me. here.
So,
I can put my findings on the record.
yeah, so we're on the record and back on the record docket 22-00287. Will the parties please identify themselves for the record?
Assistant Prosecuting Attorney Adam Pfeiffer. Yeah.
Good morning, Your Honor. Jared Austin appearing on behalf of and in the absence of Andrew Stewart.
All right, and so we're gone back on the record. It was confirmed that Mr. Stewart is in the U of M hospital, so I'll remove any show cause
Yes,
for the
he's in
defendant.
He's in the emergency room. I got confirmed from hospital staff, Your Honor.
Perfect. So confirmed D is at U of M, and I'll remove show cause. And we'll stay on for that preliminary examination date. And Mr. Austin, I know it's not a small procedure, so just keep us updated, okay?
I will do that, Your Honor.
All right. Anything else for the record at this time on 22-00287, Mr. Pfeiffer? Anything, Mr. Austin?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And then let's go on. So, Mr. Goodrich, are you ready on Mr. Knickerbocker?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. So we're on the record in docket 22-02803. That's people of the state of Michigan versus Eric Knickerbocker. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record?
Jake Wisty on behalf of the people.
And Luke Goodrich from the Public Defender's Office here to represent Mr. Knickerbocker.
And sir, you are Eric Knickerbocker?
Yes, sir.
You can hear me all right, Mr. Knickerbocker?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Wissy, this is a time set for a probable cause conference. How are we proceeding today?
Your Honor, there have been some discussions between me and Mr. Goodrich. An offer to resolve this in circuit court was extended. I would defer to Mr. Goodrich on how he and his client would like to proceed.
Mr. Goodrich?
Yes, Your Honor. At this time, we would like to leave the matter set for preliminary exam next week.
So we'll leave on for preliminary examination on November 3rd at 8:30. Mr. Goodrich, Mr. Knickerbocker, keep in contact with your public defender, Mr. Goodrich, if you have any questions. But right now, we're left on for preliminary examination on November 3rd, 2022 at 8:30. All right, sir?
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
All right.
Thank you.
Anything else for the record? 2202-803, Mr. Wissy?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Goodrich?
No, Your Honor.
All right. We'll see everybody next week. Thank you for your appearances.
Okay, thank you.
Where? Here on the phone?
Mr. Knickerbocker, you can hang up at this point.
Okay.
Do you guys meet here on the phone or in court next week? Here it is.
Our hearing is in person next week.
Okay,
That's
Thank you.
correct. It is an in-person, the prelim's in person.
okay, thank you.
I thank you. Ms. Robinson, are you ready to go on Mr. Long?
I am, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. So we're on the record in docket 22-02336. That's people of the state of Michigan versus Connor Long. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record?
Thank you. Good morning, Your Honor. Erin Housefield on behalf of the people.
Erin Robinson, Assistant Public Defender for Mr. Long.
And sir, you are Connor Long?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and you can hear me all right, Mr. Long?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Ms. Housefield, this is the time set for a probable cause conference. How are we proceeding today?
Thank you, Your Honor. An offer has been conveyed to Ms. Robinson. We are in negotiations. I don't believe that defense is ready at this time to accept that offer, but I'll defer to Ms. Robinson on her thoughts for the preliminary examination next week.
Ms. Robinson?
That's correct. We'll leave it set for prelim. We are in negotiations. I did send a counteroffer to the prosecutor. So we'll just leave it set for next week.
All right, so the preliminary exam is left on for next week on November 3rd, 2022. Mr. Long, if you have any questions, please keep in contact with your attorney, Erin Robinson from the Public Defender's Office, and we'll see you next week at this time.
Okay, Your Honor.
Anything else for the record, Ms. Housefield?
I just would like to be sure that a writ has been prepared, Your Honor, for next week's.
I have one in my hand, and I think I'm supposed to sign it.
Great. Thank you, Your Honor. Nothing further for the people.
Anything else, Ms. Robinson?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Long, we'll see you next week, okay?
Okay, thank you.
I did sign that.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. House. Now, now you have a different set of. We're on the record in docket 22-02580. That is people of the state of Michigan versus Jason Williams. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record?
Assistant Prosecuting Attorney Adam Pfeiffer on behalf of the people.
Thank you and good morning, Your Honor. Robert Palmer of the Public Defender's Office on behalf of Mr. Williams, who is not present this morning.
All right. This is the time set for a probable cause conference involving Mr. Williams. Mr. Pfeiffer, how are we proceeding today?
Your Honor, I spoke with Mr. Palmer before we got on the record today, and he informed me that Mr. Williams had been in custody. And when Mr. Palmer went to meet with him in the jail, found out that he had just been released from custody. So he hasn't been able to speak with him, and he's not here in person or on Zoom. And given the fact he just got out of custody, I don't believe a bench warrant is appropriate at this stage. I do think it'd be appropriate to have the preliminary examination date be treated as a PCC.
All right. Mr. Palmer, your response?
Everything that Mr. Pfeiffer just said is absolutely accurate. I was scheduled to meet with him by Polycom yesterday. My understanding is he bonded out sometime late Tuesday evening. I have tried to contact him. I've not been able to reach him, but that's short notice, Judge, and I'm not entirely sure that the telephone number we have for him is accurate. I do appreciate Mr. Pfeiffer's offer to leave the prelim, or to not warrant now and leave the prelim set for PCC next week. I will certainly try to get in touch with my client. The only other thing, Judge, I guess just as a matter of housekeeping, there may be someone else here from my office. I anticipate starting a CSC trial the end of next week up at the circuit court. There may be someone else from my office here on behalf of Mr. Williams that day, but that's an issue for me. I'm
All
sorry,
right.
the court ahead.
All right. So I've made that note in the file that there may be a substitute counsel while you're in trial. We're going to leave on for preliminary examination on November 3rd, 2022. And we'll leave any type of bench warrant to be decided on that date since
I think that's
since
more
he was just released. Anything else for the record on 22-02580, Mr. Pfeiffer?
Nothing for the people.
Anything, Mr. Palmer?
Nothing from the defense. Judge.
All right, I'll see everybody next week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, no problem. No, if he doesn't show up next week, we're gonna
No,
ask for a bench warrant.
I don't really have anything to argue at that point.
No.
Not a whole lot to say. Yeah, come on.
No offense, I have people who've been fully in touch with your office who still come away being like, I don't need to appear for the PCC, despite what you guys tell them.
Right.
I have a question.
Interesting.
I had people be Ishmael Johnson on the docket. It's not.
Yeah, that was my mistake.
Ms. Robinson, you're here on the Johnson matter?
I am, Your Honor.
Okay, have you had any contact with your client? I don't see him in the physical courtroom. We'll call for him in the hallway. Have you had any contact with him?
I attempted to reach out to him, but I have not heard back.
Nathaniel's checking the hallway, and then we'll go ahead and put it on the record.
Thank you.
All right, we're on the record in docket 22-01259. People of the state of Michigan versus Ishmael H. Johnson. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record?
Jake Westy on behalf of the people.
Erin Robinson, Assistant Public Defender for Mr. Johnson.
This is the time set for a probable cause conference. This was set for 8:30 today. It is now 9 o'clock. I should say 8:58 to be exact, 8:58. We've checked the physical courtroom for Mr. Johnson. We've called out his name in the hallway and he's not in the Zoom courtroom. Mr. Wisty, how would you like to proceed?
Your Honor, the people request a bench warrant.
Ms. Robinson, any response?
Yes, Your Honor, we would ask for a 48-hour hold in this case. It's non-assaultive offense, so we would ask for that 48-hour hold at this time, and I believe it's his first failure to appear.
I have him as a failed to appear at arraignment after summons. So I have arraignment was scheduled, summons was mailed on May 26th. There was a failed to appear, and then he wasn't arraigned until October 19th concerning these charges. So I'll issue it, and it's not an assaultive crime, but it is a weapons crime. So with the prior failed to appear, I'll indicate for the record that the defendant is bench warrant and bond forfeiture. Of course, if you have any contact with your client, let us know. But at this point, the bench warrant and bond forfeiture is ordered at the request of the people. Anything else for the record? Docket 2201-259, Mr. Wisty.
No, Your Honor.
Anything, Ms. Robinson?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. That's all for the record in that file.
I guess the other thing I would point out, Judge, is that the incident occurred in July of 21. So this is more than it's over a year old. It's a year, almost a year and a half at this point. I do understand that there were personal protection orders. My understanding from Mr. Williams is that, there were previously, prior to him being arraigned and a no contact order set in this matter, there were a couple of times where this kind of became an issue because of the PPOs. My client advises me that he turned and went the other way. He advised me that he doesn't want any contact with the mother or the complaining witness in this incident. I think to answer the court's question, yes, he does want some property and he does want to be able to go and retrieve property from that Risdale address, but obviously that's also his residence and his mother lives there. He takes care of his mother. And so he has concerns both because essentially the exclusion zone makes him homeless, but also because his mother is there now left there without the care of her son.
Mr. Pfeiffer?
Your Honor, while this incident did happen in 2021, again, this is still an ongoing situation. Mr. Williams was actually jailed for violating that PPO in January of this year for going to the victim's residence in direct defiance of the court orders. One of the reasons why the people are so concerned that it will be happening again.
All right, so what the court will allow is that Mr. Williams can get a third party. Mr. Williams is not to go to his residence, to get a third party to get any personal items. So any personal items of, toiletries, things of that nature. However, I'm not changing the bond condition at this point. I'm not going to change the 3126 Risdale bond condition because of the PPO and the violation of the PPO, which are still in place. And then we'll leave on for next week because the prelim is set for next week, and that's when people will testify and we'll come to a determination in that matter. So bond conditions are not changed. I will allow a third party to come and get toiletries, etc., from the residence as personal items, but Mr. Williams himself is still under his current bond conditions. Anything else for the record, Mr. Pfeiffer?
Not from the people.
Anything, Mr. Palmer?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. That's all for the record in 22-02580.